Adrian Harvey, we're here on the Grass Valley stand at ABE,
Yes.
and we're here with the Ignite system. So,
That's correct.
could you give us an overview?
Okay, this is a Ignite system which basically centralises the control of a news control room, a news broadcast control room. The interface consists of three screens. The right-hand screen is basically a representation of the vision switcher panel, so we can switch as per normal.
And that's this one down here?
Yep. No, vision switcher panel
Oh,
over
we're
there.
over here, sorry.
Yes.
My mistake.
Although you don't actually have to have the panel to run with Ignite. You
Okay.
can actually run it directly from here, so we can actually cut as you normally would on a vision switcher. You'll see it should, with any luck. I've got keys on, sorry. It will cut up there on the screen, just like a normal vision switcher. See?
Yep.
Then on the left-hand side we have the audio interface. We don't actually have an audio desk here this time, but you can still see the audio operating. And then we have basically machine control, camera, robotic hotkeys, CG hotkeys, timers, and connected devices. But the main focus of Ignite is this central screen, which is the timeline screen, and basically a news bulletin is made up of a series of macros. We call them TMEs, which is transition macro event. It's a fancy name for a macro.
Yep.
And basically, as the news bulletin goes through, you'll see, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but each of these this particular macro has lined up camera 1 on the preview monitor there, and then when we operate it, it'll actually cut it to line. Then you can see as we go on, it lines up the next event, which is on the server. So as we click through, it takes the server to line. Once the server's finished, we're going to go to camera 2. We go to camera 2, we go to another server. Then what happens? I think we're going to do a bit of a DVE effect there. And all of these macro events that I've got here are actually populated automatically from the newsroom computer system, whether it be from ENPS or from iNews. Basically the producer or the journalist's code, things like bottom frame supers, all the graphics information using MOS. All the clips are loaded into the rundown using MOS objects as well, and all of that is downloaded into the system when you load the rundown, which basically automates the whole process of loading clips and playing them to air for a news bulletin. That's the very, very, very short version.
Okay. And Ignite has been implemented locally by the ABC?
Yes, ABC has it all around Australia. Every ABC News studio has it, including the recently launched News 24. It's also in wind stations around Australia as well. Next week we'll be starting to train people at TV3 New Zealand.
Okay.
We are showing Summit and Dino actually running in a super slow motion mode.
Okay.
So the server itself supports a standard player import mode, so you have one channel. So in this case, we've got our baby server, which is Solo. Solo is a 2-channel box, but it actually can record multiple streams.
Okay.
So in this case, we've set it up so that one channel is recording super slow-mo. And so we're actually feeding the 8300 camera into the server, and we're actually playing out the slow-mo feed from that channel there. So if I'm in live mode, one of the powerful features of the Solo and the Summit is that there's a very low latency from record to play, which is about half a second. And then if we then go to slow-mo mode, if I start to slow it down, we're actually now running in super slow-mo mode. So we're going to sub-frames, which means we're actually running 150 frames a second. It's on the other camera actually. If I go over here.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep.
And unfortunately, let me go back live again. There we are. So back live, I can get some motion. I'll do it now. And then I can go back to where that object was. There we are. So I can actually replay that recording and then go back into a slow motion playback. It's actually a bit grainy at the moment because the light is very poor in here. So
Oh, it is.
just using natural light. So that's in slow motion mode. But solo can actually run in multi-channel mode, 2-channel records on one channel. We can record in 3D mode as well, so we can actually record left eye and right eye on one channel and play back left eye, right eye on one channel, which is quite nice. It allows you to follow a 3D workflow. So the actual dyno is the replay controller, and it can connect to any of the Summit or Solo servers. And we have the ability, we have a touch screen which allows us to create new clips. So I can be watching live material, I can mark an in, mark an out. I've now captured a clip. I can change the metadata within that clip by going to keywords, and that information is actually loaded. Missed that one. Try again. So I go back to the keywords. I can actually select information that is put into the keywords entries. I can change the category as well to make it a 1, 2 or 3 star item, and that information is stored with the clip. So as that clip now moves from server to server, it will actually carry all that information through. So I can now create a playlist. I go to highlights. I can take that clip, put it into my highlights area, and now it loads up with its thumbnail, and I can now create a whole series of highlights in the sports event, and then move the highlights into a playlist, and you end up with a full playlist which is really quick to capture, and you can see all the metadata of those clips. And I can go to the top of that highlights list, playlist, queue it up, and just play. So now what it will do, it will actually play back all those individual clips, and I can put different transitions as you go from clip to clip. So as it plays through, you'll see a transition on the screen, and it'll go through a dissolve, it'll do a fade to black, or a transition to white. You select those, and you create those before you actually create your playlist. You can also add information from the library, which I don't have any clips stored, but if you've already created and stored material on the server, you can record it as part of your library. So that is Summit and Dyno. All the package, we've got Dyno PA, the production assistant. What this does, it's a tool that allows you to see all the clips on the network of servers, and I can look at the material, I can select the material that's on a server and put it into a play window. Double click that. Okay, so it will now load the high-res image, and I can review the high-res image in the browse window. We now have our clip, so I can actually look at the live event, and it will now be playing a live browse window. I can create sub-clips, I can mark that material up, I can create a login window and log material, and I can even go into a playout area, and I can control the playout channel of any server on the network, load a clip into that channel, and just play that clip on that particular channel. So it's very powerful. One other feature which is really very powerful is that we've got a rules wizard, and the rules wizard allows you to actually create a transfer rule, and that transfer rule could look for metadata of a clip. You can have it look at all the servers, look for say a 3-star event, and then it will actually there'll be a set of conditions that you've created to move the clip from a box to another box, say to a NAS or to a Final Cut Pro